I'm James Holder. Welcome to Full Court Football 24. Quite privileged to be joined by former Aston Villa, Hull City, Stoke City, Peterborough United, York City, Darlington, Southend United, Scunthorpe United, Macclesfield Town, Boston United, Lincoln City, Cambridge United, Grantham Town, and Ickleston Town star, none other than Martin Carruthers. How are you, Martin?
Very well, thank you. Great to be on the show and looking forward to a much better year.
Indeed, I appreciate that. I was just going through your list of teams. It's not as long as some of the guests we've had on, but still very impressive in terms of clubs played for.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest. And, you know, when I first started out as a 16-year-old at Aston Villa, you know, back in those days, you know, you speak to the senior pros and, you know, they always would say to you, you know, get as many moves as you can, play for as many different clubs as you can, you'll make more money that way. You know, so in my head early, that was sort of embedded. But, you know, looking back now, you know, that was not the right advice. You know, me personally, you know, I wish I never would have left Aston Villa at that time. You know, you're leaving a team in the Premier League that had just finished second and pushed Manchester United to the title, you know, being involved in the first team squad, you know, offered a 2-year contract and turned it down. You know, you look back and you think, what were you doing? You know, why would anybody even comprehend that now? You know, you got lads who never even played, you know, in the Premiership. At the minute they'll sign 4 or 5 year contracts and they'll go out on loan for 3 or 4 seasons. They might never play. They're still good players, you know, but at that time with agents and different people, you know, again, we've been speaking about misinformation before we came on, giving you not poor advice at the time, because obviously, you know, in those years, the money was nowhere near as good, and, you know, moving clubs and getting a signing on fee and decent wages was probably the way forward then. But, you know, ultimately, yeah, I certainly didn't want as many clubs as that on my CV now.
Before we get into the facets of your career and everything that's gone on in your life and stuff, I'd like to talk a little bit about the current situation. Lockdown 3, it's been quite intense for everyone across the country. How have yourself been coping with everything that's been going on?
To be honest, it's been really, really tough. I've still been at work. Where I work at the minute, we run like an alternative provision for vulnerable and challenging young people who've been excluded from school. So, you know, you're sort of managing their own mental health. You're managing your own mental health. You know, you've got your own, you know, children and life to consider as well. And you know, me from a personal point of view, you know, at times I've struggled. You know, I'll be completely honest. You know, at times, you know, you're down, you're lonely. You know, the football's a big factor in my life. It always has been. And you know, the ups and downs with the football season, lack of games this season, getting suspended last year. You know, we thought we was all getting through it and coming back again this year. You know, and now to have it all taken away again, it takes its toll. You know, and just like, you know, we spoke about having your routine, your Tuesday and Thursday night training sessions. You know, your Friday night, you're preparing for the game on Saturday. Saturday, you're out all day at the game. I'll be honest, I'm dreading this weekend because the weekends are so long without football. You know, and I know everybody up and down the country, whether it's junior teams, it's a massive impact, you know, not only for players, supporters, coaches, for fans. You know, football's our life, you know, and you know, I know it's difficult for the government at the minute, but even leading up to this, you know, I think, you know, that I think they don't fully understand, you know, the huge benefits football and sport has on, you know, everybody's mental health.
Now, you come on to the mental health aspect of football. Like you mentioned, clubs within the community, they serve a lot more than people just having a recreational sport. You've got people that are involved with the club. The club is their life, whether that be helping out and volunteering or playing for the club and stuff. How would you see this situation improve? How would you like to see things improve for grassroots football and teams lower down the tiers at the current moment in time?
Again, I know they have all the testing at the Premier League, but you know, every non-league club, grassroots club, they've had to, you know, do extensive work on risk assessments. You know, they're not, you know, employed to do that. You know, you've got volunteers spending hours and hours, you know, getting COVID procedures, you know, in place, giving up their spare time. I would say, you know, a lot of non-league clubs, in terms of being safe, social distancing, you know, right guidance and advice to young players, hygiene, sanitizing, you know, it's all in place. and I think, participation in sport, football, people going to the gym is going to have some huge knock-on effects, and I think in terms of people's well-being, so we knew suicides were on the increase leading up to Christmas. I really don't want to even think now and consider, how many lives are going to be lost in this next lockdown, due to the government's not delaying the situation. But obviously we know the situation's getting worse. But if they would have put this in place weeks ago, certain people might have dealt with it better and been more prepared. But for it to then come again and to know that it could be potentially mid-February, maybe March, there's going to be a lot of support needed. And I think the government are going to have to put a lot of money into mental health support and networks.
In the current climate, with teams in the lower tier not having to have fans within the stadium, not having that revenue coming in, how do they keep running? How do they effectively stay afloat?
It's impossible. Clubs at non-league level, from even the conference football clubs, from steps 3 to 6, it's impossible to survive without fans. They are the lifeblood of every football club. Not only with their support, a lot of fans at Ilkeston, they'll donate, they'll volunteer on a match day to reduce actual outgoings for the football club. Even the staff that work full time, sometimes it's 6-7 days a week on top of their own jobs. And it's all right. The FA at the time, when they said we could have 400 fans, well, at Ilkeston, we could get 1,500, 2,000. If we're doing well, the game against Hartlepool live on Match of the Day, would have filled the stadium. But just even alone with the fans, it's not enough. The revenue from the bar, from food, the merchandise, it all comes hand in hand. And without supporters, non-league football would die. It's that simple. And every manager, every chairman at every non-league club, won't, stress the importance, of football fans at any non-league club. We cannot survive without them. It's that simple.
Coming off of current affairs for a little while, I want to look back on your own footballing journey and career today. Like we spoke about, I know you grew up in Nottingham.
So Nottingham, that's correct, yeah.
What was your childhood like, and what was your family dynamic like growing up?
Family dynamic was tough. Brought up by my mum, single parent family, 5 brothers, 2 sisters. And life was always a struggle. And I remember my first interest in football. I think I was only about 4. I can remember it like yesterday. My memory's terrible. I don't remember anything. But living in an area called Radford, and a group of older boys were just playing on the park, just out where we live, and I was just wandering around. They were saying get out of the way, and I refused to move. Next thing bang, ball smacked me in the face, bust my nose. One came running down, went back up, crying or whatever. She was like, "You're not going out there playing football ever again." I was like, "I'm going back out there. You're going to clean me up. I'm going to go back out there and I'm going to play." And it was from then on that my love for football, and every opportunity I got, I'd be kicking balls against walls, driving the neighbours mad, driving my mum mad, breaking things in the house. It was just something that my dad was more of a cricketer. My mum didn't have any interest in football. It was just something that was just came, and just something that I had my heart set on, and it was just something that I just set out to do from a really early age.
What's your first memory of playing competitive football then? Would you have joined a local club? Would you have been playing for like a youth club locally? How did that initial involvement work for yourself?
I remember we moved to another area called Bestwood, and was going to a school called Robin Hood, and all the lads would be playing football in the playground. I think I was probably about 7 or 8. I can even remember the PE teacher, Mr. Prentice, at the time. And obviously you see me playing, and normally, you probably only get the I forget what year groups you are now. I can't remember. I think year group 6. I think year group 6 are probably the only ones who play in the football team in primary schools. I think I was year group, I think 2 years below year group 4. I think it is. I was only 8, and it was like, we want you to play in the football team. I was like, what? Wow. He went, yeah, we want you to play. So I remember playing this first competitive game. The kit was too big for me, and you know, I absolutely loved it. And from then on there, you know, even I think at 8, I was probably the best player, you know, in the team, and it just went from there. Year 9, year 10, then I got picked up by one of at the time one of the strongest teams in Nottingham, a team called Parkhead Academicals. A guy called Graham Cordell, and he had youth success at youth level. So I then signed for them. I then ended up getting in the local Nottingham City boys team. So the best players in Nottingham, they then come together, and you travel over different parts of the country. We had a very good side at that time. The only issue I had at that time was there was another striker in the same age bracket called Andy Cole, who I was sort of competing with. So yeah, we did play together a few times, but it was certainly a little bit better than me. But yeah, you know, there was a guy called Sean Brown, Paul Cox. So there's quite a few players from that City Boys team that went on and had successful professional careers. Mark Blake, he was at Aston Villa with me. So that was the sort of the stepping stone. And then obviously from there, signed for Forest Boys, and then just continued from there, really.
You mentioned Andy Cole. What was he like to be with? I'm guessing you and him were good friends at this age as well. What was he like to be around?
He was always very confident. I remember he went to a school called Sandfield in a place called Radford, and I remember we'd play Sandfield in the league, and I remember us drawing 3-3 against Sandfield. He got a hat trick, I got a hat trick, but I think at the time he was sure. I think at a very early age he was on Arsenal's books. You know, at the time I think Arsenal had the top team. I think all the top teams were chasing after him, and then he ended up going to Lilleshall. Remember Lilleshall? The football. They had the football camp where you go, I think, from 13 to 16. All the best players would go to Lilleshall. So he ultimately ended up at Lilleshall. Then he went on and signed for Arsenal. But yeah, from Parkhead Academicals, we was really successful. It was like the league and cup. We'd always win that. Then the I don't think it was a national tournament. I think it was like Nottinghamshire and Mansfield, which was like called the Shield. You know, we'd win that year on, year out. And then signed for Forest Boys. I think I was 12, maybe 13. I was at Forest up until 16.
At 16, was it a tough decision for you to leave Forest? Were you set on staying?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't my choice. No, I actually got released, which, you know, came as a real shock to me. You know, I remember they always used to tell you around about the Christmas time whether you was getting an apprenticeship at the time. I think it was a scholarship. So around about the December, yeah, I was getting one. They told all the lads who was getting one. Brilliant, no problems. Growing up, like I said to you, I didn't have a great upbringing, you know. And then I remember my brother, who was not the greatest of role models. One evening, I would have been 14, 15. I think he would have been 16. He got hold of a car, and he offered me a lift, and we went in this car. And I remember just going down around by Bestwood, and the local swimming baths was on the corner, and it was. I knew it was going to miss the turn off. I was like, "Oh, we need to turn here." Obviously, he took it too fast. I remember missing a crowd of people. He's gone straight through a gate post. Wrote this car off it. I think it was a Vauxhall Viva. You'll probably be. I don't know if you can remember. I don't know. You're younger than me. But off we got out of the car and went running off. Obviously, we thought we got away with it, and I was carrying on walking up the road, and then a copper called PC Singh, he pulled up alongside me, and he was like, obviously, you know, where have you been? I was like, nowhere. He said, no, you know, your brother's told me So I ended up getting arrested for that, and I ended up getting done for aiding and abetting, no insurance, no license. I didn't know anything about that then. I ended up actually getting 3 points on my license, and Forest found out about that, and I think that was it proved to be very costly. So in the April, when we get into a training session, they've pulled all the lads in. They pulled me in. It was like, just letting you know, we decided that we're not going to offer you a scholarship now. And I was just sort of in shock at the time. I didn't really take it in. All the lads were saying, we can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. So I remember going home that night, crying my eyes out. I didn't tell my mum. I never told her. And it wasn't until about a week later that she actually got the letter from Forest. She was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "Yeah, I just couldn't bring myself to tell you. I think, that's it. My football career's over." So I was kind of devastated. Luckily at the time, I was going to grab a bottle of water. So yeah, when my team, Park Academicals, some of the staff in there, they had some good contacts. So I ended up getting a trial at Mansfield Town, Scunthorpe, and Bolton Wanderers. So at the time, it was all in the old 4th division at the time. And I can remember going out to Bolton as a 15-year-old, never been on a train before, gone to the train station. Gone to a train station, didn't know, never been on a train before, asking, the ticket guy, is this the right train? Really nervous. Going off to Bolton for a week, never left home before, getting to a train station, walking all the way to the ground, and I ended up playing three games at the time for Bolton. I thought I did really well, scored a couple of goals, never got offered anything there. Went off to Mansfield, played in their youth team, played a couple of games there, did the same at Scunthorpe, and ended up getting offered scholarships by both Scunthorpe and Mansfield. So at the time, that they were my options. And I was like, right, well, I'm gonna have to make my mind up and take one of those. Then Graham Cordell, the main guy from Park Academicals, he knew a friend of Graham Taylor's at the time. So he was like, look, don't do anything yet. I've managed to get you a trial at Aston Villa. I was like, brilliant. At the time, they was in the Championship, the old English 2nd division, but they was right at the top of the table. So I've gone off to Aston Villa. Facilities and everything were fantastic. Had a fantastic week down there. Brilliant. So on the Thursday, it was like, look, we like what we see. We're going to offer you the 2-year apprenticeship. I was like over the moon. Brilliant. And that night, my mum went into hospital because she was having a baby for my one of my young brothers, Tyrone. So the next day, just playing a friendly game. I just remember ball's gone through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and I was always brave. And I remember sort of going in trying to win it, so I could sniff a goal, could see a goal. As I've gone in, I just remember the keeper landing on my leg. I heard it snap, and I was like, "Oh wow!" So anyway, I got carried off. Ended up going to A&E, and I remember it again like yesterday. The doctor coming over, putting the X-ray on the screen. He went, "Your football career's over, son." And I remember I was like burst into tears. Again, I'm thinking, how's my luck? So it was like a double fracture, tibia and fibia. So I remember obviously they took me home the next day, Villa. My mum had just got back with Tyrone, my brother, and I was crying. I remember my mum, she was like, "Oh, it's all right, I can get you a job in the casino, don't worry about it." But luckily, at the time, there's a guy called Dave Richardson. Bobby Downs was the youth team manager. I remember getting no, in fact, no, Dave, about a week later, turned up at the house. And I remember him just saying, look, we're going to honour the 2-year apprenticeship. We're going to look after you, and we're going to give you a chance. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this. So for the first 6 months of my apprenticeship, I was just in the gym every day, just rehabbing, trying to get fit. And it was really difficult, particularly at a young age like that. You're not used to the training, being in digs with a family that you don't know, eating foods that you don't like. It was just like a really, difficult time. But I had some good lads around me, the guy who lived next door, Richard Crisp. And it was fine. And like I say, all I was focused on was getting fit and playing again, and I remember, my very first training session back in, because I've always had great enthusiasm and energy. And Alan Evans, one of the great Villa players, my first training session, and I remember, I think it was Bobby Down saying, look, it's his first training session, he's just come back from a broken leg, be careful. I remember going in for a ball, and he's absolutely leathered me. I've done about 3 somersaults in the air, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me. But straight away, I'm thinking, I'm fine. My leg's fine, and the rest is history from there. There was, lots of ups and downs on the way, but it was just what I say to young people now is, just don't ever give up. I've got released by Forest, got rejected by Bolton, dual leg break at 16, and still managed to make not a great career, but an average career. But something that when I finished playing, I didn't really pay much attention to. But when you look back now and what you actually done, and you've played at Old Trafford, and some of the goals you've scored, it does make me proud.
What was the decision not to stay at Aston Villa? Like, I know there was a contract offer for yourself to extend your time there. Having had that support there that you've had from the club, can you explain to me the reason you didn't extend your stay?
Yeah, and a lot of it was just down to stubbornness. So basically, I'd gone out on loan that season to Hull City. Did really well. I scored 6 goals in 13. Lots of clubs were looking at me. And I remember coming back from the loan period, and Big Ron was always sort of enigmatic character, very powerful. He had that aura about him. Made not intimidate, but if he said something, people jumped. He had that, that back in those days. Those managers ruled the players. Not like today's day where players run the dressing room. It was his way or the highway. And I remember we was having a training session, and I've never been a great trainer, if I'm completely honest, and I probably wasn't having the best training session. I remember, in a training session, he stopped the training session. He went, Carruthers, if you don't sort yourself out, I'll fuck you off back to Scarborough. And I'm thinking, I haven't been at Scarborough, but that's how he made you feel. So, and in fairness to Big Ron, he gave me my debut, and I know he did like me, and obviously the team were flying at the time. I was banging goals in for the reserves that season. I almost went out on loan again on transfer deadline day, and it never happened. We won the league, the reserve league that year, and that reserve league that year we had Bosnich in goal, Hugo Ekiarg, Neil Cox, Brian Small, there was Dwight York, Graham Fenton, Steve Froggatt. We had a really good side. Anyway, last game of the season, away at QPR, I was on the bench. Anyway, The game finished 2-1. There was about 15 minutes left. I came on, was losing 2-1. I came on. I thought I did really well. I had a couple of good shots. Keeper made a good save. Come off after the game, and he's like, "I'm not sure about you, Carruthers." I'm like, "What? Well, you've come on today. You've done nothing. You've cost us today." And I'm like, "How have I cost us? I've come on. It's 2-1. But he liked to play mind games with younger players, and he talked about character building, which I see now, and I understand. So in my head, I've made it right. I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. I'm not having this. As a young lad. So at the time, I got myself an agent. Don't know why. So this agent was saying, telling me about the different clubs that were interested and everything else. About a week later, they offered me a 2-year contract. And I'll be honest, if they'd have offered me a little bit more money, I'd have signed it there and then. But the money was not what I wanted. So I stalled and stalled. Went away, spoke to 3 or 4 clubs, spoke to Stoke City, Luke Macari. They'd just been promoted to the Championship. And I liked what they offered. So, I'd made my mind up to go and sign there. But, in hindsight, I remember going into Stoke for my first training session and thinking, what have I done? But, you can't turn the clock back, and, what's done is done.
I want to just focus on Big Ron Atkinson for a little bit. One of the most colourful characters in the game, huge reputation, both from a manager aspect and a punditry point of view. What was he like with you personally? How did you get on with Big Ron?
Again, we talk about first impressions and last, and because of my injury, I was never a technically gifted player. Mine was always about scoring goals, energy, enthusiasm, making good runs. I remember when he first came in as manager in pre-season, and we were in training, and all he kept shouting was, Matthew, brilliant Matthew. And I'm looking around, I'm thinking, is he talking to me? Obviously, you've got my name wrong. And I was like, Matthew. So anyway, training's finished. I'm leaving training. He's collared me. He's gone, Matthew, need a word with you. I went, hi, Gaffer, my name's Martin. He's like, Martin? Sorry, Martin. He went, you're the best player in training today. I like what I see. I like you. And that was it. And, he liked me from then on in. But, at the time, I was 19, 20. For a young lad, and you have this thing in your head, and people say that you should be in the first team. And I was getting on the bench. I was getting on and getting in squads. And at the time, it's an amazing achievement. Any player now in the Premiership who's just on the bench, you'd be over the moon. And people get into your head, and you have this thing about need first team football, need to be playing. And then, back then, you get it wrong, and it was just, should never have left. And like you say, at times he was harsh, but it was harsh on me, Bosnich, Hugo Ekiog, Dwight York. And he'd go for a stage where he'd be on your case for 6 to 8 weeks, and he'd be saying, and then once he'd done with you, it'd be like, it's all about character building. You've passed the test, you've got through it. And you're like, that's just old school. But he was a top manager, I love my time there. And like you say, just his character, his man management skills, and that aura, and he joined in training. He was terrible, but it was a great character and a great personality.
They had great strikers during your time at Aston Villa, like you mentioned, Dwight York, Dion Dublin, to name 2 of the front men. How were the strikers with you? How were the senior players with the younger players? How were the more established players in the team?
I mean, at the time, you had people like Nigel Spink, Kevin Richardson, Steve Staunton, Big Cyril Regis was there, Big C. He was huge, very, very supportive. And, obviously with Dwight York, we used to play together in in the reserves, and obviously then, you know, we made that step up. I remember when Dean Saunders came, we had Dalian Atkinson, rest in peace, bless him. You know, and some really good players and colourful characters. And you know, whenever you was in the first team or in around the first team or in training, you know, they would always help you and offer support. But obviously, we knew back then that, you know, they're looking over the shoulder, worrying about their place. So, you know, it's the same in any football club. You know, you have to work hard, you have to train hard, and fight for your place in the team. But yeah, there was some very good characters and strikers there.
Villa at the time, like you said, massive club, massive fan base. Did you regret instantly leaving as soon as you arrived at Stoke, or was there a moment where it dawned on you that you could have potentially made the wrong decision?
Yeah, like I say, I just, you know, when I went to Stoke and, you know, the first day in the dressing room, Lou Macari wasn't there, the assistant manager, Chick Bates at the time. I remember sat in this dressing room and there must have been 50 players. And I'm thinking, I hardly know anybody here. I didn't feel comfortable. And there was another one who was calling me Matthew. And I don't know what it is with these managers and assistant managers. You think I must look like a Matthew. And I remember him calling me in, just having a quick chat or whatever. And then I remember they took us on a 2-week tour of Tanzania. And it was horrendous, to say the least. You know, the hotels had no electric, running water. It was really tough, and it was just bizarre. And you know, Lou Macari was really successful, but he had some really bizarre training methods. And I'll give you a good example of one. And it was all about fitness and working hard and running around. And you know, at the time, it's baffling, but you know, that's what I made a career out of. And his mindset was, if you worked harder or ran around more than the other team, you'd win games of football. And it's correct. Yeah, if you've got players with quality, on top of that, you know, you're gonna have a good side. But his basis was, we had a hard-working side, and you know, I look back now, and you know, we didn't have the greatest of players technically, but we had players who gave everything, worked hard, and was in the playoffs every year. Every year I was there, and it was good times to be around. But the example I'm talking about, we just played the Tanzanian national team in a friendly the day before, and I think I played about 88 minutes. No problem. Anyway, so the next day we've gone down by the beach or wherever. He's gone, right, those that played 90 minutes with me, the rest of you with Chick doing some running. So I've walked over to the team that played 90 minutes, and he's gone, whoa, where are you going? I went, 90 minutes. He went, how long did you play? I went, I think I came up with about 2 minutes to go. He went, well, you're over there then. so we did, and the doctor at the time, we'd had a team meeting, and he said, you know, that it's a different heat out here. It's the equatorial heat. He said, whatever, you know, under no circumstances are you to train between or be out in the sun between 12 and 2. Yeah. What time we're training? Bang on 12 o'clock. So we're doing these ridiculous amounts of shuttles. Anyway, I've done it all. Anyway, I finished, and I'm in a bad way. And I remember him coming over, he's going, Carruthers, you all right? I'm going, no, Gaffer, no. I said, that's hurt me. I said, I feel sick. I can remember him just hands on his hips, and he was just laughing his head off. And have you seen the film about Nello, the guy, the kit man from Stoke?
No.
Neil Baldwin, and he was like the kitman at the time, and I remember them both just laughing. And next thing you know, I remember it was like The Exorcist, like fountains of sick just coming out of me. He just stood there laughing, and he thought it was like the best thing that had ever happened. That it made me do some running, and I was sick everywhere. And I was just like, what have I done? And because Villa and Stoke at the time couldn't agree a fee. So I had a really good pre-season. I think I scored about 8 goals in pre-season. First game of the season, Millwall at home. I'm sub. I'm thinking, sub? How am I sub? I've come here to play first team football. He's told me I'm going to play first team football. I could be sat on the bench at Aston Villa, which I would have been. So no problem, bench. I think we end up losing the game 2-1. We then played Mansfield in the, I think in the League Cup at home. Sub again, came off the bench. We're 1-0 down, scored a 25-yarder with my left foot, top corner. Brilliant. I'm going to play the next game. Sub again. What have I got to do to get in this team? Next game we played Wolves away, starting. Brilliant. Wolves away. Remember the old Anglo-Italian Cup? Yeah. So started the game, scored 2, drew 3-3. Portsmouth away, sub again. And I'm just thinking, this guy, I'm like, why is it? What have I got to do to get in this team? And like you say, and the tribunal was coming up. And I remember driving up to the tribunal, and I remember there was a guy called Chris Turner. I think he was at Peterborough at the time, and John Ward, who used to be at Aston Villa, he was at Bristol Rovers. And they were like, "Oh, if we knew he was available, we would have took you or whatever." Blah blah blah. I remember at the time, and the chairman, Doug Ellis, he pulled me aside. He was going, "Why did you leave us or whatever?" And I just wish I had the balls at that time to say, "I made a mistake." I wish I never would have signed, because in essence, I could have signed a 2-year deal at Villa. I could have gone out on loan to Stoke. I could have gone out on loan anyway. If I wasn't playing. And at the time, you just think, you do some crazy things. Anyway, they end up, obviously, the tribunal for me got set. And that was it. The rest was history. But I knew then that, under Lou Macari, I was never, ever going to be a regular first-team starter for whatever reason. I could score. I remember a couple of weeks after signing permanently, we'd gone away to Middlesbrough. We won the league that year. Brian Robson had a great side. We went away on the Tuesday night. I started. We won 2-1. I scored. On the Sunday, we're playing Nottingham Forest away at the City Ground, live on Central TV. Name the team was sub. And it sort of, at the time, I'd got my bag and I was going to storm out of the dressing room. I remember Nigel Gleghorn. He was like, no, calm down, relax. And I'm like, I've scored. I'm playing my home time team live on TV. He's not going to have the decency to speak to me and explain his reasons why. I said, he's treating me like an absolute muppet. And I'll be honest, I sulked all game. We won the game 3-2, so he got it right. But yeah, it was bizarre, because, like you say, I'd score, do really well, and then I'd be sub, and then I wouldn't even get on. And you're just like, his man management with me was not great.
3 seasons that you had there, you guys were always in the playoffs. You're always sort of aspiring to do well. Was it a tough decision to leave? How did that play out for yourself? You seem like as much as you weren't enjoying it, the team are achieving your game, I guess, is improving there. Was it a tough decision?
I know. I wouldn't say I was not enjoying it. It was just, I didn't enjoy the consistency of not playing week in, week out. But, even when you're scoring goals and you're not getting in a side, but as a manager now, I sort of understand it. Managers pick teams to win games of football, and in my own admission, I was very good coming off the bench. I was a really good impact player, someone you could throw on and change a game. So I knew what his game plan was in his mindset was. But again, Stoke was another club at the time. There was talk of the new stadium. And it was a club on the up, and I didn't want to drop down, but I ended up being on a non-contract for 2 years, because because I was under 24, I couldn't sign for anyone else without compensation. They'd offered me a new contract, but like on the same money. And I'm like, you know, I wanted more money. They wouldn't give it me. And again, I ended up, when I ended up signing for Peterborough, I had a couple of opportunities to go abroad. I could have gone to Wigan. I could have gone to Preston. I didn't really want to drop down the leagues. And it was great because when I went to the tribunal and the tribunal was like, well, you know, Stoke have offered you this, blah, blah, blah. You know, why didn't you sign it? I went, if Stoke would have offered me that, I would have signed it. You know, it was more money than I was getting at Peterborough. So obviously they lied at the tribunal. I just thought, well, if that's in the contract with the tribunal and that's what I wanted, that's what I'd asked for, just give it me and I would have stayed. You know, and it's bizarre sometimes with football clubs, and they'll sort of haggle over a few quid just to lose a player. But again, you know, I'll be honest and say I never wanted to leave Stoke City. And again, it was all about, you know, money and being on a non-contract for like 2 years that sort of force the issue. I thought, you know, if I get injured now, you know, they can just let me go for nothing. So, you know, that sort of came to an end. But yeah, I mean, even now I look back, I think I was crazy, you know, playing for 2 years on a non-contract basis. Like if I'd have got injured, I'd have, you know, my career would have been over. So it was really challenging times as a player because all the power was with the football clubs, and you know, because I was under 24, you know, I couldn't leave on a Bosman. That Bosman ruling, I think, came out just after I'd passed 24. So yeah, it was a difficult time. But like I said, I did love every minute of my time at Stoke. It was frustrating, but yeah, I've still got friends there now, and I still go back. But again, yeah, if the deal would have been alright, I would have stayed at Stoke.
See, at the time when you had the agent that was on your case with sort of opportunities at Aston Villa, what was the same agent saying when you're on a non-contract for 2 years? What was the energy like for that decision? What was the thought process from your team around you?
I think, you know, at the times, and you know, agents. I didn't have a great experience with agents, and you know, and agents talk a great game. You know, and they're advising you not to sign, you know, a contract on that money, but at the same time you're saying to them, well, what have you got for me? And they're putting a host of clubs on the table, but they're saying, but you know, they can't sign you because they're gonna have to pay compensation for you. Well, I'm like, well, that's no good to me. So I ended up going out to Holland, to Turkey, to Portugal, because was a club, Fortuna Sittard in Holland. They wanted to sign me, and you know, at the time the package they offered was really good, and I sort of ummed, and you know, at the time I probably should have gone out there. That would have been great for my career development. I went out to a team called Gil Vicente in Portugal, and that was another bizarre scenario. I was only supposed to go out there for 2 days. I got a call from the agent late in the afternoon. Drive down to the airport, left my car in the short stay car park, flew out to Portugal, landed in Portugal. All the paparazzi were taking pictures of where I'm thinking, whoa, what is going on? I'm not even signing. So, you know, I had this agent driving from the airport to the hotel, talking about, you know, if we get you on a free transfer, you know, and the club is supposed to pay X amount of money, you know, you'll get off, I'll get off. And I'm thinking, wow, this sounds dodgy as anything. What is going on? I'm thinking this is bent as. So anyway, 3 days in to the trial at Gil Vicente, I'm like, I need to get home. So I'm ringing the agent. I'm like, right, I need to get a flight home. He was going, no, yeah, not until you've signed. Once you sign, then you can get a flight. And I'm going, no, I'm not signing anything. I'm not. Took me 4 more days to get out of Portugal. They would not let me leave, and I'm going, I am not signing. They're going, no, you need to sign here, blah blah blah. You need to do this. I'm going, I'm not doing anything. I need to go back to England. So anyway, I managed with a couple of phone calls to my agent. He managed to sort it out. I managed to get a flight back. Then I ended up going out to Turkey to Trabzonspor. Had another week out there. And in the meantime, the football season's going on, and Stoke and Lou Macari are going mad, saying, you know, you're our player. And I'm like, well, I'm on a non-contract. I'm free to go abroad. So yeah, it was just crazy. Some of the things that were going on, and ultimately, you know, I think I only wanted another £100 a week, you know, to sign for Stoke City. These are the economics we're talking about back in the day. That you know, for the sake of £100, you know, you end up losing a player who wants to play, and you know, who can do a good job for you ultimately.
What was it like in Turkey with Trabzonspor? There was a massive fan base. I know a bit about them from Kevin Campbell and his time out there. What was your experience like?
Yeah, well, I ended up flying out with Franz Carr. So we got out with. I remember going out to the first training session, and we're getting changed in the dressing rooms, and they're like, "Oh, you know, where's your shin pads?" I'm like, "Shin pads? I don't wear. I only wear shin pads in games." They're like, "No, you need to wear shin pads." I'm like, "Nah, I don't wear shin pads." You know, and I said to you before, in training or whatever, I'm more passive. I don't want to smash people in training and stuff. But Jesus Christ, that training session there opened my eyes. They were smashing each other. It was like a full-on game that I've never seen before in training. It was like they hated each other. But again, you know, Turkey was in Istanbul. I remember going out a couple of evenings and just to restaurants and stuff. Obviously, me and Franz Carr are both of dual heritage, and it was just everywhere you walk, just people would stop and stare at you, and it's just like so uncomfortable. And I remember speaking to Dalian Atkinson, and he was saying that, you know, when he was in Turkey, that you're like a prisoner in your own home. The fans are that fanatical. So even if you do sign, you know, you'll have no social life. You won't be able to go out anywhere. So, you know, that sort of decision was made anyway. But yeah, it was, you know, I do regret not going to Holland and Fortuna Sittard, because I think that would have been really good. And the guy, there was a guy who used to be at Aston Villa before me, Mark Burke, who had a good career at Wolves. He ended up going out there the same time I should have gone out there, with a guy called Pierre Vinbeck, who went on to manage one of the national sides, and he took Berkey with him everywhere. And I still see Berkey now and again now, and we used to play in the Aston Villa Vets together. And he was just saying that, you know, if you'd have gone out there, it would have been amazing for you, for career and stuff. But yeah, it's like you say in football, you know, it's hindsight's a great thing, and you make the decisions at the time, and you have to live with them. But you know, wherever I've been, I've always had, you know, fantastic experiences.
This takes us back to the UK in the shape of Peterborough United. Was Barry Fry in and around the club when you signed?
He certainly was, Big Baz. So again, I ended up going to Peterborough from Stoke. And again, it was another one where he'd have to go to a tribunal and take me. So I remember I didn't even end up meeting Baz. It was all done on the phone, short and sharp. What do you want? Want this? No, I can't give you that. Blah, blah, blah. Ringing back. Right, do this. Yeah, done deal. Come down, sign tomorrow. So gone down, signed. Brilliant. Goes home. As I'm driving into Peterborough next day for my first training session, I've got the local radio on. Just been announced that Peterborough United sacked assistant manager and first team coach. So I turned up at the training ground. I knew a few of the lads anyway. I turned up to a few of the lads, and the few of the lads are like, fucking hell. So basically, we've signed you, and now we've got no fucking coaches because you took all the money. So I'm like, what is going on? So the training ground was horrendous. It had this like wooden hut, and again, you get there, you're thinking, oh no, what have I done? What have I done? Jesus Christ, we've got no coach. So anyway, we just sat there. There's nobody give us any information or anything. I was there at 9:30. Supposed to start training, I think 10, 10:15. Anyway, Baz turns up about 11 o'clock, 11:15. Right, lads, blah, blah, blah. You've heard the news. They've gone now. We just have to get on with it. I'm taking training, yeah. And anyone who knows Baz knows he's not a good coach, yeah. He can't take training. So like, it was like, right, lads, we brought Mike Carruthers in. He's going to get us the goals to give us some success. Right, we're going to have a shooting session. Like, okay, yeah, brilliant. So he said, look, we've got no confidence, so we're not going to have any goalkeepers. So from a full length pitch, we start on the touchline of one end of the pitch. You run with it to Baz, who's on the halfway line. You play a 1-2 with him. You run through on goal with no goalkeeper in and score a goal, yeah? I was about 10th in the queue, yeah? First 10 players have gone through. Everybody's missed. I'm going, what the hell? What is going on? If we can't score in a goal with no goalkeeper, what absolute chance have we got? And the training session just turned into an absolute farce. And I remember a couple of my shots, and I'm going through, and I'm missing myself, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Is this just the mindset of the players? Is it the football club? And that was just Baz. Obviously he'd bought the football club. Obviously he had his reasons for sacking them, whether it was financial or not, I don't know. But you just go into a football club and you think, wow, straight away it's just onto a downer. But Baz was different class, and he was great around the players. The character. He certainly, said it how it was. I've watched a couple of documentaries where I've been in the dressing room and you look back and you think, Jesus Christ, I didn't realise he was that bad or aggressive. But he got results. And to be fair, that year we were really unlucky because myself and Scott Alton, we were flying. And I remember we went away to Millwall. We had some really good results. We went away to Millwall, and on Boxing Day we ended up beating them 2-1. They'd not been beat for a while. I remember one ball over the top, and I remember going around the goalkeeper. It took me out. I landed awkwardly, and I remember I dislocated my shoulder. I ended up being out for about 3-4 weeks with that. I mean, there was a few games postponed, and then me and Scott Alton both picked up hernias, so we both had to have double hernias. And he ended up getting back playing before me, but losing us to, I think, ultimately cost us as relegation. That season, when I think had we not had those hernias, I think we would have stayed up, and and I think that was the old League One at the time. But we ended up getting relegated that year, which was a massive blow.
Dealing with relegation is a tough thing to do, especially as a player, especially when you've played at higher levels. How do you sort of reassess? How do you get motivated to pick yourself back up and try and get up the leagues?
Again, it was the sort of story of my career, really, because I left Aston Villa, because I honestly believe that I'd score the goals in the Championship to either get promoted with Stoke back up, or I'd get bought by a club higher up. I didn't, the reason I stayed on a non-contract for 2 years was because I didn't want to drop down a level. I wanted to play as high as I could. I took that decision with Peterborough because, at the time, I thought that was when I went to see the stadium and stuff, it was like, what, this is a decent club. Baz is, ambitious. He wants promotion. I can get promoted back up to the Championship, get myself, kickstart my career again. So, I've been turned down the likes of Preston and Wiggins and teams like that. You think, this is it. And then to get injured and then to get relegated down to, sort of the League Two, then you're like, what have I done? What have I done? Everywhere I seem to go, I've ended up dropping down, and I've purposely gone on non-contracts for a long time and refused to move to other clubs because they're at low levels. And now I'm down at the lowest level of professional football. But, I knew that people would be a club that would challenge. We'd just brought in Jimmy Quinn, and it was, I think we ended up having a really good season. But again, there were sort of injuries that sort of curtailed my season and is missing out just on the playoffs, I think.
This stage of your career, you're 25. What are you like as a professional footballer? Do you take your training, your diet, your time away from football really seriously, or are you kind of out with the lads a bit more at this stage? How are you living personally?
If I'm completely honest, from the age of 18, my lifestyle was always, around, going out with the lads every Saturday night. And you look back now, and we train where I work. A lad who used to play for Notts County, Burton Eltham, Soldini, goalkeeper. We're in the gym at 6:30 every morning till 8 o'clock, 8:10. No, sorry, 6:30. 2 hours. 2 hours 10 minutes. Actually, we did today in the gym, and we're saying now, if we knew then what we knew now, our diets, our training, our sessions after training, how much more we could have done, how much more we could have achieved, because the mentality was completely different then. You didn't have the guidance, win, lose or draw, get on the beer, finish training, get in your car as quick as you can and get yourself home so you can play snooker or go down the driving range or get on your PlayStation. The professionalism and the mentality was, I wouldn't say poor, because players still trained hard, but there could have been so much more, you could have been doing. I remember when I went to Scunthorpe, or there'd be other players who'd be on the team coach and they'd be doing like their engineering degree and stuff like that. And you'd be calling them nerds and taking a piss out of them. And, actually, that's the right thing to do. With the amount of spare time footballers have on their hands, it's a crime that, you don't sort of pursue your next steps. You don't take your coaching badges. I did everything once I'd finished playing, and like I say, you look back on in hindsight, like you say, Peterborough, we'd lost just after Peterborough, we lost to Gillingham at home. My first game, we're playing Bristol City away on the Saturday. They're top of the table, and gets to the hotel. So we're sat in the hotel or whatever, having the meal. Waitresses come round. What are you having to drink? I like blackcurrant soda, and the lads have looked at me like, "You're taking a piss." Like, it's Friday night, man. I'm not drinking that before the game. Lager, double vodka and Coke or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? So only Baz has come over. He's like, "Yeah, lads, get a drink what you want. All I'm going to say, if I catch anyone in before 3 o'clock in the morning tonight, you're not playing tomorrow." I'm going, fucking Jesus Christ. Fuck me. I'm thinking, what is it like this? He said, yeah, don't mind you having a fucking beer or getting pissed the next day. He said, oh, obviously, if we fucking win the game, it's happy days or whatever. Bristol City, top of the league, fucking what happens? Next day, we get Tom 3-0. And you just think, Jesus Christ. But that was the mentality, back then. I know lads, Jesus Christ, who could drink a couple of pints before a game on a Saturday and still play well and do it. But you look back now and you just think, some of the things, your diet and the way you lived, was just borderline shocking. But you still managed to play well and perform. And like you say, how I had a 20-year career is beyond me, because like you say, my lifestyle and my dietary choices certainly didn't match that of a professional footballer.
At this stage in your career, you've had quite a lot of game experience. You've played for a lot of big teams. You've been around a lot of big characters. Have you seen a lot of card schools and a lot of players gambling for big money at this stage in your career? Have you seen players sort of down and on their way to games where they've just lost excess amount to another player.
I listen. Even growing up, from the ages 13 to 16, the peer group that I was around, I grew up playing cards. It was a big part of the community, playing cards and gambling and fruit machines. So I was sort of up early doors, and we're talking about Aston Villa, and I remember, I think I was 16 and a half. I'd just got on my first reserve team, so I was sub for the reserves. I think we're playing away at Newcastle. So I remember the lads are like, come and play cards, crash or whatever it is. I was like, how much? They're like, oh, it's like 50p a point or whatever it is. I'm like, oh, 50p a point. Happy days. Anyway, I'm playing. I didn't know what I didn't even know how to play. So anyway, we played on the way there, played on the way back or whatever, totting it up. So afterwards, I remember it was Bernard Gallagher, and he's gone to me. He's gone, right, you owe this, you owe that. And he was like, you owe me 65 quid. Sort of gulps, and I was on £29.50 at the time. I wanted to fucking cry. I'm like, what the fuck's just happened? I was like, you said it was like 50p a point. Yeah, but if you don't score many points and I get X amount of points, then obviously we touch it up. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I said, I can't afford to pay that. He said, listen, you play with the big boys, you're fucking paying. I'm waiting for the payday to revert. Your payday for a month was I think it was like £147.50. So anyway, I remember payday. He's come over. He's like, "Where's my fucking money?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, Bernie. I'll bring it in tomorrow." Anyway, I ended up giving him the 65 quid. I'm thinking, how the fuck am I going to get through this month? Yeah, I've got. Anyway, he ended up giving me 30 quid back, and he said to me, he went, "If you want to fucking play cards and you lose, you have to fucking pay. That's it." So if you're lucky, because I'm one of the better ones, you always want to give it you back. So just remember that in future. And yeah, I've always been a big gambler and some big card schools. We're talking a lot of money, even at lower league levels. And like you say, the impact that used to have on not only my mentality but some other players. You could lose 300-400 quid in hand. This is fucking 10 minutes before you get to a ground. And then that I've lost my head or somebody else, a player, lost their head. And then they've got to go and play 90 minutes and perform to the best of their ability. It was crazy that these things were allowed to happen. But without the card schools, it'd be great. I mean, another one with Barry Fry. We used to play Pontoon 21. What do you call it? Shoot the pot, is it? I can't remember the name of it. So you'd have to get around 3 times. It might be 6 players. So you might have like 400 quid in the pot. Someone get an ace, they might go 50 quid or shoot the pot. Every time it comes to buzz, he might have an 8, he'll go shoot the pot. And then he'd win, and like you'd gone around 2.5 rounds, and you're like 400 quid, and he's just taking it out the middle, and he's like, oh man, I've just got around 2.5 rounds with that. Sometimes you play highest card wins like 50 quid at a time. Like 4 players, you're winning 150 quid a time. Whoever's got the highest card. Just boredom, just crazy stupid bets. But I still play cards now, not to that level. But yeah, throughout my career, cards was certainly huge. And like you say, you could win big and you could lose very big. Even at lower levels.
Have you seen players fall out? Have you seen players literally come almost to blows or to sort of real life-changing arguments over cards?
Yeah, I've seen best friends fall out over cards, and it's not nice to see. Certainly before an important game, but that's how it gets you. That's the frustration of maybe thinking someone's cheating, or you missing out on lucky, not playing the right card, or thinking somebody's stitched you up and passed on the card that's going to make somebody else winning, that they're in it together and stuff like that. But yeah, there's been some volatile situations. Yeah.
What happens if you get caught cheating during a card school where there's 4 or 5 players in there? What would happen?
I've been involved in some of them, and basically, you know, the money either gets paid back or there's going to be a fight, or there's going to be, you know, repercussions. Someone's car's going to get smashed up, or the clothes are going to get cut up, and you know, I've seen plenty of that. People's, you know, Armani suits getting cut up, the tires getting slashed, the cabriolet roofs getting slashed. It's just, it can turn really nasty. And you know, even without the cars, we're talking about simple pranks. So for example, you might come in after training and someone's put some DP in your boxer shorts, you put them on, obviously your balls are burning to death. Someone's grassed them up, whoever's done it. You go back the next day, you'll put the ends of their socks out, they'll put the socks on, your feet will go straight through them, but then they'll get the and then they'll want to fight you. You're disrespectful, you're touching my gear. Well, you just filled my boxes with DP the day before. Now I'm thinking back to you, don't like it. There were lots of players like that who would love to give it the banter, but as soon as they got it done back to them, they couldn't take it, and that would cause fights and friction within the camp.
After your time at Peterborough, you had a short loan spell away from the club. You then signed for Darlington. Talk to me about that process and that period.
Yeah, again, I think it's just me with football clubs. And again, I didn't want to leave Peterborough. My contract was running out in the summer, and Baz was like, "Look, you know, you're not going to get a new contract in the summer. You know, Darlington and York want to take you, blah blah blah." So at the time, there's a lad called Craig Liddell who I was with at Aston Villa. He was at Darlington. I think the manager was a guy called Dave Hodgson. So I went up and spoke to Odgie, who ultimately became a football agent, who was a football agent anyway. Like what he had to say, you know, we spoke about the previous months, the players not getting paid and the club being in financial turmoil, and he assured me, no, that was a thing of the past. He had somebody taking over the football club. The club was on the up. So I'm on the train up to Darlington with my agent. We get a phone call from Walsall, who was in the league above. They were like, "Look, you know, we want to take him till the end of the season, blah, blah, blah." The deadline, this was on transfer deadline day. I'm like thinking, well, I'd like to sign for Walsall, but logistically, how are we going to get this done? You know, how are we going to get back in time? Darlington had offered me, you know, a bit more money. Anyway, we got to Darlington. We told them about Walsall's interest. They gave me an increased deal. It was all done and dusted. Brilliant. So anyway, first payday, no money. Club's got no money. I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy just gave me all these assurances. There's no money at all. There's talk of the club going into administration, folding. I'm like, another one. What have I done? But lo and behold, within a couple of weeks, the safe cracker George Reynolds, he bought the club, and obviously he had shitloads of money. And I can remember him first coming in to meet us at the old what was the ground called? Was it Cheatham's, Darlington's ground, where they had the cricket club? And I remember when he came into the meeting or whatever, and was sat in the dressing rooms, and he's come round, another character, and he's walked in the dressing rooms. He's gone, "Fucking hell, lads, is this where you get changed?" We're like, yeah, it's that dressing rooms. Gaffrey went, "I won't let me fucking dog in here." I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, ultimately he pumped a lot of money into the football club, and again they enjoyed some really good times under George. Obviously then they moved to the new stadium. Obviously then he left and didn't put his money in it. It sort of all went pear-shaped from there. But yeah, I wasn't there long, but the time I had at Darlington were fantastic.
You joined Southend on loan initially, scoring a few goals and then signing a full-time deal with them. Talk to me about that period and everything that went on with Southend.
Yeah, again, it's sort of one extreme to the other. And I knew Alan Little from his time at York. He took me on loan when he was at York, so I knew all about him. You know, I was at Darlington. The team was really successful, and to be honest, at the time at Darlington, because George Reynolds had come in, we was on £1,000 to win a man. You know, I think that was in like 1998. It was incredible money, and so I wasn't playing, but I was on the bench and getting on every week. And like you say, there was a great set of lads. I knew they'd be challenging for promotion. So the plan was really just to go to Southend for a few games and get some match fitness, get some goals, get some confidence, and go back and kick on. But you know, I absolutely loved my time at Southend. You know, there was some great lads, and just sort of, you just fit in straight away. You know, the banter, the camaraderie around the football club was unbelievable. So, and again, it was I think 5 or 6 of us. There was a guy called Simon Coleman, Mark Tinkler, Nathan Jones, who's now manager at Luton. We had a guy called Gordon Connolly, Neil Tolson, and we were sort of, all of us were away from our families. So we all, some of the lads lived together, some of us had our own flats, but it was just like, you know, it was like a little, how can I call it? It was like on holiday in the week, and then we'd all go over the weekends back to our missuses and families. We had the arcades. We'd be eating out every day. It was unbelievable. It was great times, and you know, Alan Little, I feel really sorry for him, because he was, in my eyes, one of the best managers I've sort of played under. You know, tactically and formation wise. You know, and he did put a really, really good side together, and you know, we sort of let him down badly, because we had the team and the players to be successful, but it just never worked out. You know, and once he'd left and moved on, you know, it sort of went downhill from there, really. But like you say, in terms of it was just a football club where I scored plenty of goals, I had a great rapport with the fans, and you know, love my time there.
Is it good when you hit the ground running at somewhere like Southend? Because like you say, you're away, you're in your own little bubble, you're in your own world.
Yeah.
Feels like that holiday feel to go into work, hit the ground running.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, it's like in any football club, and particularly as a striker, you know, the hardest thing is scoring goals in football. And once you get your first goal, and then you have that rapport with the fans, and you know, I kind of see it in the Premier League now, that without fans, you know, I think that's why we see the lesser teams performing better, because it's the best players in the world, the world-class players who can deal with the pressure of the fans, they can deal with the goading, and that's why they're the top paid players. And you know, when you've got fans singing your name and backing you, it raises your game, it raises you to another level. So, you know, at Southend, although we weren't, you know, doing great, because you're always scoring goals and you're sort of a fan's hero, you know, it makes it easier for you. And you know, and when you've got a great set of lads as well, you know, it makes it even better. But like you say, just the old lifestyle, being close to London, and again, like you say, the old lifestyle. I think Southend, you know, Leigh-on-Sea, we, you know, had some great times down there. Yeah.
Scored 23 goals for Southend in 65 games. Not a bad record.
Yeah. You know what? That's not bad. Actually, it is more. You know, I think that's just league games. But yeah, there was some cut goals in there. But yeah, I think I averaged about a goal every 2 games. You know, at Southend, and you know, it's just a shame to see them struggling where they are now. And Ron Martin, the chairman, was the chairman when I was there, and you know, there's still talk of a new stadium and everything like that. And it's just like I say, it's just sad to see that, you know, a football club that's, you know, in a great location, got great history, that, you know, is struggling down at the foot of the table again.
Talk to me about the decision to sign for Scunthorpe. How did all that come about, and what was the thought process behind that?
At the time, my current girlfriend, then she was pregnant, and she was living in Nottingham. Obviously, I was down at Southend, so I'd only get home at weekends or in midweek. And it was bizarre, really, because when Dave Webb came in as manager, he pulled me straight into the office. He was like, "Look, you're one of the top earners at the football club. We need to get you out and move you on." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, no problem at all." Spoke to my agent or whatever. So in my head, it was like, right, I'm going to go. At the time, Peter Story, the chairman, he moved to Notts County. So anyway, it was Colchester and Notts County who'd come in for me. So anyway, Colchester had offered 200 grand, and I wasn't interested in signing for Colchester for a variety of reasons. Notts County offered 150 grand, and I was like to Dave Webb, well, I live in Nottingham, Mrs. Pregnant, she's about to have a baby. I want to go back up north. I want to sign for Notts County. So anyway, a couple of weeks went by. Nothing happened. And I remember, I think we played Lincoln at home. And I think we won the game 1-0. I didn't score. And anyway, after the game, I remember Mick Goddard pulling me saying, he went, "Fucking hell," he went, "Webby loves you." I went, "What do you mean?" He went, "You ain't going anywhere." I was like, "Well, what are you talking about? I was going to speak to you on Monday." So anyway, I went in, I had a meeting with him. He was like, "Yeah, you played really well Saturday." He said, "Yeah, we can't let you go. We're not even going now." I was like, "Gaffer," I said, "but, my agent said, like, it's sort of deal to go to Notts County. My missus is pregnant." No, mate, not in our position. Not until, we're sorted. You're not going anywhere. I remember we got to the semi-final of the Autoglass Cup, and we were playing Brentford over 2 legs in the semi-final. And it was coming up to transfer deadline day, and there was still, some clubs interested or whatever. And I spoke to Webb, and he said, "Look, there's still a chance of you leaving before the deadline." He says, "But it'll be down to you." So I think we got beat. Yeah, I think we got beat 2-1 in the first leg at home to Brentford. And then I think the next leg was a week after. I think we ended up drawing 0-0. And I remember missing 2 sitters, 2 really good chances to sort of win the game. And I'd made my mind up. I thought, well, if we win this game and get to Wembley, there's no way I'm leaving. It's impossible. Anyway, I ended up missing 2 sitters. Was really down after the game. And the next day he's called me, said, "Look, I can see you down or whatever. Look, Scunthorpe are interested. Are you going to go up and sign?" I was like, "Well, I'll go up and speak to them." So I spoke to Brian Laws, at the time. We'd agreed a deal. So I remember driving back to Nottingham that night, stayed the night, and then got up in the morning. Gets halfway to Scunthorpe. Brian Laws ringing me. "There's been an itch with a deal, blah, blah, blah. What we agreed last night, the chairman can't do." I'm like, "For fuck's sake, you're taking a fucking piss." So I've pulled over. He's told me the terms of the deal. I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be X amount short." "Yeah, blah, blah, blah." He said, look, just drive up anyway. Anyway, it's transfer deadline day. So I drove up there. So I say to him, "Well, this is what you've offered me. This is what you're offering now, blah, blah, blah." I said, "I would never have drove up." So he's like running back and forth up and down to the chairman or whatever. And in the end, I ended up signing for less than what I agreed. And he's just like, "Fucking hell, he's got me by the balls here because it's fucking transfer deadline day." But yeah, I ended up signing, and yeah, it's just story of my life, football club, and sort of decisions made because you're sort of under pressure to get deals done in limited time.
Talk to me about Scunthorpe. Talk to me about your time there. Talk to me about the fans and the players. How did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, I knew a couple of lads before I went in. There's a lad called Nathan Stanton, who's a Nottingham lad anyway, so he sort of knew me prior to that. And I remember sort of walking into the dressing room, just saying hello to a few. And I remember one of them saying, "Oh, blah, blah, blah. A couple of lads had told me a couple of stories about you or whatever, are they true or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're true." And tell me the stories. I said, "No, I can't. I'm not going to tell you stories, but here's the videos." So I remember all the players, all in the physio room. They've got these videos. I was looking at these videos, and it was just sort of like, yeah, this guy's a legend. And it sort of like had a click with the lads straight away. And I remember that year was challenging for the playoffs, and I was playing up front with Big Steve Torpy. It was a great foil, man. I just couldn't score. Like the first, I think it was like 6 games, just couldn't score. Everything was falling onto my left foot. I was getting good chances, just not taking them. And anyway, I remember getting my first goal. I think it was against Carlisle. I think we ended up missing out on the playoffs on the last game of the season. So I've gone out with the lads on the Saturday after the game. Anyway, we've all got on it, and we end up getting on it on the Sunday. So we've gone on it all day Sunday, and I remember getting about 4:00 Sunday afternoon, getting carried out of this pub Sunday afternoon. Right? So Monday morning was all in just to have a debrief about a season. So next thing you know, Lawsy's come in, fucking going mad. He was going, right, you, Odgie, Shell, blah, 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 in my fucking office now. Got in the office, like, "What's up, Gaffer?" He's like, "Fucking what's up? We've just been knocked out of the fucking playoffs. You're out in the fucking club Saturday night. Fucking you. The fucking pictures are going to be on the front page of the fucking Telegraph tonight. You've been fucking carried out. You've just fucking signed. Fucking hell. You're all going to get fined." I'm thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, this is not going to fucking look good. But luckily, the main picture of the fucking the Telegraph the next day was when I had Gareth Sheldon, Ginge. He's fucking on a table. He'd been out injured, on his fucking crutches, fucking dancing. We'd just been fucking knocked out of the playoffs. Like, that did not go down well with the fans. So yeah, it wasn't a great start to my Scunthorpe career, but it certainly got better after that. And you know, Brian Laws, it was very detailed. You know, we were very organised. We were fit. Like you say, it's another. The only downside for me in my time at Scunthorpe was I think we had a team good enough to get promoted, and like I say, we missed out on the playoffs on the last game of the season, and we missed out in the playoff semi-finals twice while I was there, and it was just couldn't quite, you know, get it over the line.
What was Brian Laws' sessions like? How was he as a coach?
Really good. Like I say, I mean, Russ Wilcox was there with him at the time, but it was a lot of work on set pieces. We were really good at set pieces, and we scored a lot of goals. And he'd spend a lot of time, you know, with detail. We did a lot of strength and conditioning stuff. You know, at the time, Nigel Adkins was our physio at the time, which is bizarre, and he had a lot of input as well. So, you know, in terms of we were fit, we were organised. We did a lot of work on shape and set pieces. You know, and it was a football club that, you know, we had a little gym at the back. We had a table tennis table. You know, we had a little restaurant upstairs. You know, and it was like a real, you know, team spirit and great work ethic. And you know, like I said, I think we had a team good enough to get promoted, and I think they ended up doing when I left. So that speaks volumes.
The run of luck continues. As soon as you leave, they get promoted.
I say they get promoted, don't they? So, you know, leave Peterborough, they get promoted. Leave Darlington, they get promoted. Leave not Southend. Leave Scunthorpe, they get promoted. So yeah.
What was next on your career destinations? I'm looking now. I think
after that, I went to Macclesfield.
Macclesfield Town. Wow.
Macclesfield Town, yeah.
How was that experience for you?
But again, you know, and we just speak about timing and luck. And again, with Scunthorpe, we just just missed out on the playoffs, lost to Lincoln. I scored 26 goals that season, you know, and then I was out of contract. And then, you know, they offered me a 1-year deal. I think I was 30 at the time, 30, 31. Offered me a 1-year deal on less money. I was like, what the hell is going on? So obviously I was speaking to other clubs, you know, and if the deal would have been right at Scunthorpe, I would have stayed because I love my time. But, you know, for my financial situation, you know, coming to the end of my career, you know, my own family to think about, you know, I had no choice but to accept Macclesfield's offer. And again, it was Dave Moss at the time. Just signed David Flitcroft myself. You know, and I think it was a season where Macclesfield was sort of pushing the boat out and wanted to be successful. We had a guy called Carl Munro, Danny Adams, some great lads, and again Dave Moss, another guy who sort of, you know, we had a really good football inside, really good players who, you know, sort of let him down. I think he got sacked early on in my career at Macclesfield, and sort of never really recovered. I think we finished mid-table in my first season, and then the second season, Brian Orton came in, you know, and sort of wanted me out, and he's called me a few times while I was on a holiday, and when I came back, I ended up signing for Steve Evans at Boston then, and that was the start of the end of my career there.
With Boston just being promoted to the Football League as well, would you have been a bit of a marquee signing for him at that time, having had the experience at a higher level?
Yeah, I mean, it was bizarre really, because they'd been promoted, and I knew they were they were splashing the cash. They'd signed Jason Lee. They had a guy called Noble there, Benno, you know, and it was just like, this club is going to be up and coming. They're ambitious, you know, they've got a good fan base. They've just been promoted, and normally you find with clubs that have been promoted, you know, that sort of success sort of escalates. So obviously I joined Boston, and then, you know, within I think about a week or 10 days, they signed Gaza, don't they? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I remember, you know, just signed Gaza on the Friday, I think. So I've come in the dressing room, playing at home, pre-season friendly against somebody. I've walked in the dressing room. Gaza's sat there. I'm sat next to him. He's in the dressing room. He's got a fucking fag on. He's just smoking. And everyone's just fucking sat there, just awestruck. And I'm sat there, and I've gone, all right. Poor Gascoigne, mate. I was like, yeah, I know who you are. Just like in utter shock. And then I've never met the guy before. Like within 5 minutes, he's telling me his whole life story. He's telling how he's paying fucking 30 grand a month maintenance to fucking Cheryl, and fucking this is happening, and he's addicted to Red Bulls. And I'm going, what the fuck's going on? Like, this is fucking unreal. This is not happening. So anyway, that game was out of the way. And then training next week, and again, Steve Evans, another character, you know. And after that game, normally, you know, managers give a debrief. And after the game, and I thought I did all right. And he's going around giving every player a mark out of 10 and going through like a detailed analysis of him. So he's going around 6, 7, blah, blah, blah. It gets to me, and I'm thinking, fucking, I thought I was 8 today. 6, could do better, fucking blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, fucking hell, what's this guy fucking going on about? I was in there for about an hour after the game thinking, what kind of fucking debrief is this? So anyway, training in the next week, and we trained at a nice training ground really, and sort of had a little gym there, swimming pool and stuff. Anyway, so we start the fucking training, and I'd never played for him or come across him before, so the training session's going on over. Anyway, next thing he stops it, he comes fucking bowling on. He's like, stop now. This fucking better improve. This is fucking shit. If this don't fucking improve now, I'm running the fucking shit out of everybody. So I'm like, this fucking guy right? Well, I'm thinking the training session's all right. So the guy's like, yeah, he's always like this. Yeah, don't fucking worry about it. No problem at all. So I think it's about 2 weeks before the first game of the season. We're playing, and obviously Gazza's around, and at the time, you'd finished training or whatever, and Gazza, like I say, he's always carried weight, but he was fucking ripped up. He was shredded up. So I'd go in the gym with him and just chatting to him or whatever, doing some weights and saying, fucking how have you got so lean or whatever. He said, well, I don't eat anymore. I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean you don't eat anymore? I said, what have you had to eat today? It was like 2 jelly babies. So I'm fucking laughing. I'm going, what the fuck? He says, yeah. He said, obviously, I don't eat anymore, obviously, because I don't want to put this weight back on. I said, so what will you have to eat later? He said, well, I've had 2 jelly babies now. He said, I'll get home later. He said, I might have a piece of chicken and then some more jelly babies later. And it was bad to see, because it was like he had no confidence. He looked like a broken man. You know, he was saying that he was going to the Priory for addiction for drinking Red Bulls. He was saying he was drinking 25 to 30 Red Bulls a day. And I'm like, fucking Jesus Christ. This guy's like a fucking living legend. He just got a sponsored Merc from the company in Boston. And he just pulled through the dressing room. He's like, lads, he said, I don't drive. He says, but if anyone wants to fucking borrow the Merc, just take it. I'm like, what the fuck? The guy just didn't have a care in the world. He said, yeah, if anybody needs any money or anything, just let me know and I'll help you out or whatever. And just like, how can a superstar, you know, be so kind? And, you know, we're lower league football players. They don't know us from Adam. And it was just like a breath of, not a breath of fresh air. It was unbelievable to be around, but so sad at the same time. You know, just to see somebody that low. He was obviously having issues with his weight and things like that. And you just think, you know, and you see him now and you think, you know, where was the support for him? You know, who was helping him with his addictions and his mental issues and his problems? And, you know, I look back now and obviously you don't see it now because your eyes weren't open, you were aware, but it was certainly somebody who needed the help of the PFA and the icon that he'd been. You know, it was sad to see that he deteriorated into not a bad way, but it was clearly somebody who needed some help and support. And you think of all he's done at the football clubs, that somebody would have took him under the wing, give him a decent coaching role, mentored him, and kept him involved in football, because that's what he needed to be in, because that was all he knew. And he was just such an honest, caring man. You know, do anything for anybody, even people he only just met, was scary. Anyway, just going on to the football side of Boston, we played Newcastle in a friendly, obviously because of Gaza. We played some of the first team and some of the kids. Anyway, we won 3-1, and I got a hat-trick. I remember him coming over to me and saying, stick with me, kid, mate, I'll get you a move. He said, you've got a good future in the game. I went, Gaza, I'm 32, mate. I went, I'm fucking done, mate. I said, fuck me. I said, thanks for the compliment, mate, but I'm done. And the season started for Boston. I think I played the first 3 or 4 games, never scored. And it was, I think we played at home. And we ended up, was winning 1-0. We conceded in the 89th minute. We drew 1-1. So he's coming in the dressing room after the game, Evo, and he's like, you fucking cunt, you fucking shit. Every fucking body in at 8:30 in the fucking morning, blah, 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 we're fucking training. So we're driving home. So I'm in a car school with Jay Lee, there's Mark Noble, there's Pitts. I'm like, fuck that, I ain't fucking coming in tomorrow. Fuck him. No, Gandhi, no, you need to fucking come in or whatever. I said, well, one of you are going to have to fucking drive me because I'm getting fucking pissed tonight, mate. Anyway, I fucking got pissed. Going to training the next day. We watched the old 90 minutes of the fucking game, the previous game. Didn't say a fucking word. Right, game's finished, right, that, we're going home. Right, we're training. So we're going to go training. Anyway, goes down there. Right, lads, we're doing some running. I'm like, fucking running? I went, I ain't doing no fucking running. So lads are like, Andy, no, mate, you kick off, mate, just do the running. So anyway, they're all fucking sprinting. I'm just fucking jogging. Just jogging, plodding through. My head had gone. So he's pulled me, he's gone, you injured? Nah, fuck all wrong with me. What's up with you then? I went, what a fucking running for. Yeah, but all the lads, other lads, I said, listen, mate, I said, fucking, I'm 32 years of age, mate. I said, you ain't treating me fucking like this, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, next day, comes into training, he's like, do you want to go to Lincoln? I went, yeah, let's get it sorted. That was it. I was gone. See you later. Ended up signing for Keith Alexander at Lincoln, and yeah.
Good reputation, Keith Alexander. How did you find him as a manager and as a coach?
Absolute top class. Gentle giant. His management of players was, I think, probably the best I've ever seen. You know, and even me at my age, you know, and I think I played. It was my own fault really, because that was a good side, and I played, missed some really good chances, and just never scored. And then I picked up a little injury. I had sciatica, and then I couldn't get back in the side. And even when I got back fit, you know, you'd go into his office, ready to kick off, and you'd come out, you know, wanting a ruck and an argument with him, and you'd come out smiling. It made you feel like you're the best player in the world, even though you knew you weren't going to be fucking playing on Saturday. You just had that aura, just the way he spoke to you, the way he managed you. Even if you weren't playing, he'd always speak, he'd always be laughing, he'd always be joking, you know. And I could never get upset with him. And like you say, for what he achieved on a shoestring budget was phenomenal. And like I say, the only sad thing for me was that, you know, he never got him promoted. And like you say, we got to the playoff final at Cardiff that year, lost to Southend. Ironically, we got promoted. Yeah. So yeah, and then you know, I got released, and I made the decision to call time on my career from there.
Was it a difficult decision for you to hang up the boots after 20 years? Was it something that you given you thought the time was right?
So hard, because, you know, I think I was only 33 at the time, and back then, you know, everyone had this stigma about players when they get to a certain age, they finish, and I was always super fit, always looked after myself, you know, and finished that summer, and you just expect the phone to ring, you expect the phone calls. I had no phone calls at all. So I ended up ringing a couple of clubs myself, and I went on trial at Kidderminster. And I remember doing the pre-season there. In fact, no, I went back to Lincoln because Keith said, you can come back and keep fit. And then they went away to Ireland, so I ended up going to Kidderminster to train just to keep myself ticking over. And I can remember, you know, speaking to the manager there, and he said, look, you know, we like you, but, you know, if we sign you, you know, the deal's going to be like 500 quid a week. And I'm thinking, 500 quid a week to drive to Kidderminster every day from Nottingham, it's going to cost me more in petrol than. So I made my mind up then that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go part-time, you know, look at my next career path. So that's what happened. I ended up signing for Grantham Town. Ended up doing a sports science degree, and yeah, got a teaching qualification, and sort of made that decision to call time. But if I could have kept playing, yeah, I certainly would have done 100%.
Who gave you the nickname Gandhi, and where did that nickname come from?
Yeah, that's, you know what, that came from Peterborough United, and it was actually Adrian Boothroyd. And I remember coming out of the shower one day, and we're just fucking about, and Boothroyd had just got these. He had to start wearing glasses. He was only 26 at the time. So I've came out, I've got the white towel around me. So I fucking put his glasses on, taking the piss, trying to banter him in front of the lads, yeah? And he's just looked at me, he's gone, you look like fucking Mahatma Gandhi. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Blah, blah, blah. He went, no, mate, that's fucking Gandhi, and that's fucking sticking. So anyway, I hated it for months. So, you know, Baz started calling me, all the lads started calling me. Fucking everyone thought it was great. So anyway, I still hated it. So I left, when I left Peterborough to go to Darlington, I was like, right, got rid of it, fucked it straight. As soon as I walked to the dressing room, all right, Gandhi. I'm like, you fucking what? Yeah, the lads have told me. And that is it. From then, it's just stuck like mud. Never, ever been able to shake it off. And you know what now, when people call me, sorry, pal, when people call me Martin, I hate it. Hate it now. So even everywhere I go now, my name's Gandhi. My family, everyone.
Coming through football yourself, have you ever experienced racism as a player? Is it something that you've dealt with firsthand?
Yeah, listen, I've experienced lots of racism growing up. So, I see the incidents now, and, and you asked me a question earlier, and I sort of referred to Franz Carr, and even now, as an old man, I don't know the right things to say. People talk about off-caste, mixed race, coloured, dual heritage. I don't take offence with any of it because of what I've grown up, with, the sort of the words I've been called, throughout school, and when I was growing up, all I knew was to fight. That was the only defense mechanism I have. So for me, it just went over the straight at the top of my head. Even within the youth team and stuff, and lads putting towels on the head, cutting holes out with the Ku Klux Klans and things like that. It was banter. And I just took it with a pinch of salt, because if you took it, in a negative way, then you'd be out of football. You had to have thick skin, and you had to be able to deal with it. And when I used to talk to Big Cyril Regis, and the stuff that the likes of Brendan Batson and Chamberlain, that era, what they went through was worse than what we went through. I think that the worst I ever, I think, was Derby County, the baseball ground away. It was one of the FA Cup classics, and I just remember the baseball ground. The fans were right on top of you, just the spitting, the racist abuse, and Derby's like a stone throw away from Nottingham, and that was like. And I remember going back to the bench to the physio, Jim Walker, and saying to him, "I don't want to go back out there," and he went, "I don't care. You're going to go back out there," and it was right. You have to go out and warm up, but that was it. At the end, ultimately it was the job of the stewards or the police or whatever. But back then it was just it was the norm. But I do understand it now, and like I say, with social media escalates everything now, and for me personally, my personal opinion, and I know people will maybe may chastise this for me, but I think for the last 4 or 5. No, not the last 2 or 3 years, but leading up to that, I think there's been hardly anything in terms of racism, and I think it's sort of been brought to the fore again and highlighted it, and this is why it's become a problem again. I honestly believe that it's sort of been eradicated, and like in anything, people are always going to call names. There's always going to be issues with people misinterpreting what people say. So I think it's not a black thing. I think it's whether you're Polish, you're Scottish, you're Irish. I think it's just anybody will have any opportunity to gain an advantage off you, particularly footballers, to put you off your game and gain an edge. That's what they're going to do, and for me, that's what it is. And like you say, I just think that I think it's always going to be there, and I think it's just how it gets managed, and how the powers that be deal with the people that sort of break the rules or flout the rules. And if they sort of make examples of people in a harsher way, then it will get eradicated. But this is just not about black people. This is about Indian, Muslims, like I said, I've already spoke about Irish, Scottish, Polish, any form of racism, whether you're disabled, whether you've got ginger hair, big nose, big ears. It falls under the same category for me, and like you say, it all has to be dealt with in the same way.
If you could change one decision that you made in football, or one decision that you didn't make that affected your career, what would that decision be?
That would be me for simple. I should have signed that 2-year contract with Aston Villa. That's it. Simple. Stayed in the Premier League, and like you say, I could have always dropped down from there. And at the time, I didn't understand the repercussions, because I could have gone out on loan to a Championship club or anywhere. And like I say, playing with better players. What I didn't understand at Villa was that the better players you play with make you a better player. More chances they create for you. So you're playing in a good team, you think you're a good player. I realised when I left Villa, I was not as good as I thought I was, because I was playing with better players. in a better side, create more chances for you, give you more opportunities. The further you drop down, it becomes more difficult. And like you say, if I knew that then, I'd stayed at Villa. I'm not saying I would have had a better career at Aston Villa, but I would have developed more, playing with better players in better facilities to give me a better opportunity to play higher up for a longer period of time.
Do you feel you're a victim from the era of you need to be in and around the first team at 18? Your generation was literally, if you're not in and around the first team at 18, 19, it's not going to happen at that club. Where now teams have got the benefit of having an under 23 side. We see players develop at such a later age now, both physically, mentally. Do you feel that in some respect you was a little bit sort of determined on that information that was around the game rather than thinking what was best for yourself?
Yeah, very much so. And let's be honest, it's no embarrassment being on the bench of a Premier League football club. You see players now, and I say to players now, even if you're a pro now and you're not in the first team at 24, 25, then, about 25, 26, you may start to look to move on, because you're developing, you're playing with better players, you've got the 23s, you can go out on loan, that's the way forward now. Like I say, these players now are few and far between who make the debuts at 18, 19 or playing regular at 21. It's not impossible unless you're top class. So, that would be my advice to any youngster now. Stay as high as you can for as long as you can, and don't get, predetermined with this thing about you need to play first team football. Keep developing and getting better, and, eventually you'll get to where you need to get to.
Have you ever seen the film Groundhog Day?
Yes.
Bill Murray. Now, if you had a Groundhog Day for your football, one day where you could relive that day forever and only that day, what would your footballing Groundhog Day be?
What would that Groundhog Day be? Oh. Yes, I remember we just, I think we'd won the league title for the first time in about 20 years for the youth team at Aston Villa. And I remember I think it was the last game of the season. And I just remember us parading the trophy at the Old End. And I just remember the fans, the atmosphere on that game just made the ears stand up on the back of my neck. And I remember the lads, taking the mick because I wouldn't put the cup down. I kept going up and holding it up, going to the fans, and it was just like an unbelievable moment, celebration.
I know you're now football manager at Ilkeston Town. Did I pronounce that right? Ilkeston Town?
Ilkeston, sorry,
mate. I know you're now football manager at Ilkeston Town, doing a relatively successful job, I'm told. Are you enjoying football coaching and football management at the moment? And have you got long-term aspirations to work your way up the league as and when the opportunities arise?
Yeah, I mean, I was never interested in football coaching, and I remember, when I was about to leave Lincoln, and Keith Alexander sort of inadvertently was like, I think you'd make a good coach. Would you be interested? And at the time, I didn't realise he was trying to offer me the youth team job, but I didn't see it at the time. And if I look back now and I think if I took that youth team job then, it would have been a different career path, And I sort of went on the coaching journey at 34, 35. Got my B license, got my A license, and I've sort of got frustrated with the lack of opportunities, and I've sort of been relatively successful at non-league level without, getting any, real opportunities. So I'd love to manage in the football league. I'd love to manage in the conference. And I'm at a fantastic football club at the minute, whose ambitions are to get to that level. So I love coaching. I love managing. It's a lot more stressful, a lot harder work than playing. But that's the buzz, developing players, seeing players move on. I've already had 2 or 3 players. Kamani Smith went to Sheffield United, Cole Lambert went to Norwich City. So it's just that joy of knowing that you've developed players, help them move on to bigger and better things. And I'm getting on a little bit now, but hopefully I can certainly hopefully managing the conference before I hang my coaching badge up.
How do you see football returning back to normal? I know it's very difficult circumstances, especially teams that are not classed as elite level for the moment. When do you see the light at the end of the tunnel for dare I say non-elite football and football around the country?
I don't see a good picture. Listen to some of the news conferences yesterday, and that the legislation's been extended till the 31st of March speaks volumes. I know myself, at Ilkeston we've only played seven league games. So, for us now, we're not going to play until mid-February. That's highly unlikely. So I think this season's going to get scrapped. I think realistically we have to look towards, restarting in August, but then that would allow us to return to training in June. And I still think there's still some more twists and turns with this virus. We need to see how it goes, if we can sort of stem the spread over the next couple of months. But like I say, non-league football cannot survive. People's mental health, is the main concern for me, not only for my own mental health, but for fans, for everybody else, for players, for supporters. And how that gets managed, because like you say, football is a drug to all of us. And, I didn't realise how much I missed football until this pandemic, kicked in the first lockdown, kicked in the summer, and our season got shut down. So, exercise, socialising, the social aspects, the camaraderie, brings people together. So, we all need football to return in a safe way, but, let's try and do it sooner rather than later for everyone's benefit.
Say, anyone out there that is struggling, there are sort of phone numbers and people you can talk to confidential, because it is testing times for everybody, and football plays such a big part in the community and the hub and in people's lives. It can be a very hard thing to deal with, but just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There seems to be some progress being made, so we're hoping it's only a matter of time before grassroots and, dare I say, non-elite football's back flourishing again.
Yeah, there's help out there, and like you say, there's always somebody to talk to. Just a few weeks ago, some random guy on Twitter, asked, somebody to send him a message, and I'm always here to talk. I need people to talk to myself. I need my own exercise sessions to help me get through the day in this, and it's just absolutely vital that people talk. There's always somebody to talk to. We'll all get through this. Let's not forget, our grandfathers, grandmothers, they've been through world wars. They've been through much tougher times than this. This is a minor. We may think it's tough to us, but it's not. And as long as we support each other, help each other, we can all get through this, and we'll come out of it smiling, and we'll be laughing about this in a year's time.
I've got to say, I really appreciate going over your career today. It's been fantastic to spend a little bit of time with you. It's such weird circumstances at the moment, so I appreciate you facilitating the Zoom stuff. I really do, mate.
No, that's fine, mate. No problem at all. It's been great to be on, and let me know when it's out.
I appreciate it. Thank you ever so much for your time today, and I look forward to catching you again real soon. Thank you, mate.
Top man.